Now, it is time for the absolute bubbliest podcast in the world, Beer Bubble! Hello, Robert.
Hi.
Welcome to your own town.
Thank you. Feels great to be here.
I am here visiting in Karlstad, Sweden, and I've just met up with Robert from Ten Hands Brewing. Why don't you start off with introducing yourself and who you are?
Wow, who I am. Let's see, we started Ten Hands Brewing 3.5 years ago, roughly. Before that, we've been involved in other craft beer brands. I did some beer blogging for a couple of years before that, and I started home brewing in 2002. So now in August, I think, it will be 20 years since I started home brewing.
That's a long time, though.
Yeah, that's a really long time. So what else? I'm a computer engineer by trade, work as a project manager by day, have a couple of kids, and 40 odd years old.
So project manager by day and brewer by night.
Yeah, something like that.
The Batman of beer.
Yeah, exactly.
So what made you start home brewing in the first place?
Well, I think that I had a friend when I grew up, when we started drinking beer fairly early on, since we're from the northern parts of Värmland, where people enjoy alcoholic beverages, as we could call it. And he bought one of those kits to brew at home, one of those cans. I can't remember what it's called now, but of course it tastes like utter garbage, completely undrinkable. So that way I had learned that homebrewed beer wasn't good, based on that one experience, more or less. So later on in life, when I started working at a place, I happened to have a colleague who had been brewing home for a couple of years, I think, and he wanted to give me one of the bottles of a beer he made, and of course I had to accept, because he was a good friend, but I already knew that it would be undrinkable, because I had learned this a long time ago, basically. So, but the interesting thing was that I was completely wrong. The beer he gave me is not only drinkable, but it's also very good. So that got me interested in home brewing, because all of a sudden I realized that the beer could actually be good, and when you made it for real.
Yeah, and this was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
basically.
That was 2002.
2002, and that was still macro beer time. I mean,
yeah, of
the
course.
craft beer scene wasn't that big. So,
yeah.
Did you brew lagers or was it stouts?
No,
just
ale, mostly pale ale. Maybe some lower ABV IPAs around 6% or something, but mostly 5.5% pale ales. Yeah, so we started brewing beer together, me and Magnus, and then we kind of felt that it was a fun enough hobby that we wanted to do it more. So actually we entered a beer into the home brewers SM here in Sweden, and then it was kind of a slippery slope from there. But as you say, it was macro time still in Sweden, so we didn't really know anything at all about craft beer. That was later on.
Yeah, that kind of exploded.
And yeah, something happened.
Yes,
all of a
something
sudden.
happened. I don't know what. So, fast forward, then 18 years later, you started Ten Hands Brewing.
Yeah.
And Magnus is a part of that?
No. He's still a good friend, and we actually still work together. But he stopped home brewing a long time ago because of lack of time, and he has a lot of kids eating up whatever time he has. So yeah, I guess that's the usual struggle, just fitting everything you want to do into one day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we started Ten Hands Brewing in 2018, November 7th. So we are 3.5 years old soon. We released our first beer 3 years ago, and I don't remember the exact date, but 3 years ago.
What kind of beer did you release? It's the first one.
Hazy IPA.
Hazy
it's
IPA.
called Firstborn.
Firstborn, all right.
Yeah, and we mostly focus on hazy IPAs because it's a style that we feel that we know how to do well, and we enjoy the beer ourselves, of course. And then, of course, strategically, it's a good style to brew because it's easy to sell. A lot of people wants to buy that style of beer.
Yeah, it's trendy right now.
Yeah, and it has been trendy for quite some time.
Yeah, it's that trend is holding on for some reason.
Yeah,
and it's do you make your hazy with like a traditional sense or more the modern user sense?
I think we're probably towards more of the modern sense of it, but we have made some hybrids between West Coast and New England styles as well. But I think we're more towards the juicier side and the modern side of it all.
All right, yeah. And then other than hazies, I've seen a lot of lacto fermented as well. Are you doing any styles porters as well, or?
Yeah, we do a couple of. We have done a couple. Our first stout ever was called Darkness, and then we barrel aged it as well in 2 different types of barrels. We did a whiskey barrel aged Darkness that was super small batch, and then we did 400 liters of mead barrel aged Darkness that we did as a collaboration with Satipaya.
All right. So
Timo had used the barrels, their first fill bourbon barrels that he had used to barrel age. I think it was Mead Me, so it's a berry mead, and then we took over those barrels and we aged our stout on it. So we just released that actually at Systembolaget recently. It sold out very quickly.
I was just about to ask, is this still there? Because I've never tried a mead barrel aged beer.
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people had done it when we did it. I kind of Googled it and looked at Untapped, and I could only find one other instance out there of a mead barrel aged beer.
Yeah.
We had no idea if it would work or not, but I think it came out really nice.
Well, tell me if you do it again, because
we would love to do it again. The problem is that there's not a lot of mead barrels to get out there. But Timo is of course barrel aging a lot of his mead, so we're just waiting for him to give us more barrels, more or less. We are barrel aging another stout at the moment, but it's on High Coast whiskey barrels.
Okay.
So we're doing that as a collaboration with High Coast whiskey.
All right, nice. So the stouts and porters or stouts are more focused on the barrel aging process.
Not really.
No?
We have done more stouts that are non-barrel aged than we have done that are barrel aged.
Okay.
Some are just plain stouts, and some have been with adjuncts. For our second anniversary, we did a stout called Black Celebration. Of course, since it's black and we turned 2, so it's a celebration, and we love Depeche Mode, so Black Celebration just made sense. And in that one we had, we used Madagascar vanilla, we used cocoa nibs from I can't remember where, and we used a lot of coconut.
So more of the pastry. Or still dry?
Still dry-ish, not sticky pastry. We just did our first real pastry stout called Scarecrow, which is releasing now in April, actually, at Systembolaget. And that's really sweet and sticky and tastes a lot like dried fruits and raisins and stuff.
All right. Well, they have their place. I think pastry stouts can be nice, but it's often a sharing bottle.
Yeah.
For me personally, at least.
I agree.
They can be very heavy.
Yeah.
So, Ten Hands Brewing, who are you guys, like the rest of the guys that are with you, or girls?
We are actually, now we are 6. We were 5 founders, and one of the founders has dropped out, and 2 other has joined. So we're 6 people today. And none of us do this as our main work, so it's just a super expensive hobby. Super expensive, long hours, and your back will ache every day.
Well, it's
That's how it is.
95% being a janitor.
Yeah, more or less. Cleaning stuff, carrying stuff. But I think that the mix of people we have in our owner group is kind of nice, because it's me and Johan. Johan is our head brewer. And it's more or less we that know things about beer. We have another guy that's an old let's see, he's retired, but he has been managing companies for ages, more or less. So he knows a lot of stuff about running a company, and financing and stuff like that. And we have one guy that he's an electrician, and we have another guy that kind of works with machines and stuff.
All right. So it's a good
and we have a
combination.
microbiologist as well.
Oh, nice.
It's super lucky combination, because if stuff happens like it usually does, then it's only a call away that we can get help.
That is really perfect. So where do you brew now?
We currently brew at Värmlands brygghus in Kristinehamn. We own our own fermentation tanks, and we own our own canning line and stuff like that. So we only rent the pot, more or less.
Yeah.
And we do everything ourselves, of course. We invent the names, we do the recipes, we brew the actual beer ourselves, we package it, sell it, etc. So we're just renting the pot, as it were.
The place. Are there any plans of moving into getting an own brewery, or?
I think that would be cool sometime in the future, but it's not yet decided on if and when and how that will happen. But it could be interesting, of course.
Well, Värmlands brygghus, I've never been there, but I think I heard it's quite large.
Yeah, so it's quite large, and they have a fantastic brew kit. It's called Rolec. So German engineering, super expensive, and of course very works very well. When we started the brand, we were at another place and brewed there, but we didn't feel that the equipment there couldn't produce the quality of beer that we needed to produce. So we had to look around and move. And then Värmlands brygghus, as I said, they have a fantastic brew kit, so it was a perfect fit.
Well, that's perfect. What's the story behind the name?
The name Ten Hands Brewing?
Yeah.
Well, actually, when we started this, we had no idea what we wanted to call ourselves. So after a couple of months of going back and forth, we had a name that we loved, and I can't even remember what the name was today, but we loved it, and we thought that was perfect. So we tried to register it at Patent- och registreringsverket, but we found out then that there was, I think it was a wine importer or something like that in Bulgaria that had the same name. And since wine and beer are too close to each other in that list of codes they use at PRV, then we couldn't have the name. So we had to just scrap that and start over. And then half a year later, we managed to come up with Ten Hands Brewing after long sessions of just mangling names. And the name itself, of course, came from that we were 5 founders, and everybody just happened to have 2 hands each. So, 10 hands.
That's nice. It's a very psychedelic logo.
Yeah, the logo is super psychedelic, and we actually, that's also just a piece of a bit of luck, more or less, because we didn't know what we wanted to look like. So Johan, our head brewer, he has a friend that is an artist here in town, so we asked him for help. Could he just give us a couple of options? So he drew a couple of things himself, and then he looked around internet and stuff just to see what kind of style we were interested in. And then he actually found our logo, which I named Mr. Fingers for obvious reasons. He found it on a site somewhere on the internet where artists could just draw whatever they like, put it up, and see if someone wanted to buy it. And we felt that this was perfect for what we wanted to do. So I contacted the artist itself. Her name is Violetta, and until recently she lived in Kiev in the Ukraine.
Oh.
And I contacted her and said that we wanted to buy this if she hadn't sold it already to someone else, and she hadn't, so we bought it. And then I asked if she would be interested in working with us permanently for making cans and art.
All right, so she's the one behind all the arts on the can.
Yeah, so Violetta has been with us since before we were even a company, and she has done everything, graphics, all the graphics and art for us.
Yeah, that Mr. Fingers gif on the website is a bit...
It's a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
But it's her style. She loves the psychedelic stuff, and we felt that it's perfect for us. And one of the absolute goals that I had with art for the cans and stuff was that I would love it if you as a customer had already seen 3 or 4 or 5 of our cans, for example, and then when you go into a bar or Systembolaget and you see a new can from us, even if you don't know that it's from us, you should be able to recognize it from a couple of meters away.
Yeah, it's recognizable. Like, I mean, Amundsen has very recognizable.
Yeah. Omnipollo, of course.
Stibergets, quite a few. Some of them are different now. Their new öl is very...
It's very different.
It's very different, but there are some breweries that have a very Fryken, Västviks Bryggeri.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good thing to have, because...
Yeah, I wanted the art to be... every can or every tap sign should be original. It shouldn't feel like it's boring and just more of the same. So every piece of art should be completely new and stand by its own. But we wanted it to be recognizable anyway, kind of like Omnipollo does. Everything just looks super different, but you can see that it's by the same artist anyway.
Yeah, it's the same thing every time, but different.
Yeah,
basically.
So that was just pure luck and happenstance that we found her on the internet, and we're still working with her. But now she's currently in Poland, of course, due to the war.
Yeah. But she's still working with you.
Yep, she's still working with us. She felt that she still wanted to do that, even though she's running away from the war and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
But you guys do a lot of collabs, right? I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we do a lot, but we feel that they are super fun to do.
Yeah. Or maybe I just read them all in the same one after the other.
Maybe I think we've done 2 so far this year with Benchwarmers and Akkurat Brygghus. Last year we did with 18th Street Brewery from USA. We did with Recycle Brewing from USA. We did with Sudden Death Brewing from Germany, and a couple more. So we try to do as many as we can, because it's always a fun thing to do, to share experiences and just talk about beer, drink beer, eat pizza.
And learn from each other.
That's
the most important thing in our business. And
yeah, I think so.
I think that's the golden thing in the business of beer, is that almost everybody, 99% are very open to sharing their own knowledge and experiences in the business, which is great.
And it's kind of unique. I haven't seen this in any other business at all. But the craft beer feels super open, and I think that's why a lot of people want to get in it somehow.
I mean,
either by blogging or just visiting festivals or starting your own brewery.
Exactly. I started off going educating to become a sommelier, and that's one of the reasons I chose not to. Is I didn't feel the warmth and connection between the people around it in the same way. Of course, there's very, very nice people in the wine world as well, but the overall of it's not like that. It's many secrecy, you know. This is our wine, or this is my place, or my product, or something like that. So the beer world is much more open, which is, I think, why we love it.
Yeah, I agree. That's the whole reason that I was interested in getting involved in it also. And it's just super fun. So just going to festivals, hanging with your beer friends, meeting new people, talking about beer, just enjoying beer.
Feeling bad the day after.
That might happen.
I'm getting a phone call from Cece right now, but we have to wait. Cutting him off. And you do quite a lot of tap takeovers as well, I've seen. You were at Lådan recently, right?
On Friday, a couple of days ago, I was in Borås at Biljard Bar. And the Friday before that, I was at Lådan in Stockholm, where we did our biggest tap takeover yet. We had 18 beers on tap at the same time. So that was cool. There was a lot of people there, and people seemed to enjoy our beer.
Yeah, I planned to go, but I was sadly working.
Yeah, a lot of beers actually ran out during the same evening, so that's always fun.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, we try to do tap takeovers when we have the possibility to do so. Of course, since we're doing other work things during the work week, it's not always possible to take a day off from work to go and do a tap takeover, but we do it when we can. We think that it's a very fun thing to do, but also, of course, business-wise, it makes sense to be seen.
Get yourself out there and
exactly.
showing off what you do. I think our mutual friend, Mr. B, was there, right?
Yeah.
he's the bar manager at Mikkeller Södermalm right now, and we used to work together at Guldapan here in Karlstad, which I think I've served you beer before.
I'm sure you have.
Probably have. So I remember Robert from ages ago, but
Yeah,
time flies, as you
time
say.
surely flies.
So, is there any future plans for Ten Hands that's in the works right now, and what's up with the future?
There are plans, some that I can't really talk about currently, but when it is time, we will tell everybody, of course. But we're trying to just work along. We have a lot of cool festivals coming up that we're invited to. We're invited back to NBCC in Copenhagen, for example. We did our first year there in October of last year. So we're going back now in the middle of May. And then we have Brewskival, of course, coming up in August. We have Two Earls first festival also in August. All in Beer Fest in Stockholm in June, for example. So there's a lot of festivals happening now. I think that a lot of people have been waiting for it. So it's just exploding festivals everywhere. But
I mean, the Beer and Whiskey Festival did happen last summer, I think. Yeah, or last time it happened. Last summer, I think it happened. And everybody was just stressing out, and as many as possible came, but the biggest ordinary ones wasn't there. It was weird, but it's fun, and I hope to see that the festival's getting back now, because it would be great to go talking to people and drink beer again.
Yeah, of course.
With everybody around.
Yeah, I think there won't be a shortage of beer festivals this year, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And I think now when people have been off it for a while, they're dying to get back.
Yeah, of
they
course.
They really are. I have one last question for you, which is the podcast golden question. You're about to die right now.
Oh, excellent! Finally.
What's? You can have one more beer, and it can be whatever you want. Whatever you want. Still in production or not? Just go.
Wow. That's super hard. I guess to just make a call back to why I'm really here, I would probably then choose... No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't choose that. I wish that I would choose that, but I was going to say Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, because that's actually the beer that got me started. That was the eye-opener beer for me. That made me realize that there were other beers out there besides Macro Lager, Guinness, and Newcastle Brown Ale, which was more or less the three beers that you could have earlier. So that was the beer that kind of destroyed me and made me go into this. So of course that would be the poetic and romantic thing to say, but it's kind of a boring beer when you drink it now. Important but boring. So let's go with a fresh Rosé de Gambrinus, perhaps, from Cantillon.
Nice.
Just super raspberry forward and always great.
That's a really good beer.
Yeah, I love it.
It's really nice.
And also fairly easy to get a hold of.
Yeah,
all
it is.
things considering.
Yeah, we always have it in the fridge at Akkurat.
Yeah.
Big and small bottle. It's a really good one. Cantillon overall is
of
fantastic.
Course. Yeah, I agree. But I think it's one of the best ones.
I agree. Well, we're up to about 25 minutes, and it's been wonderful to meeting you. And I hope to see you again at Brewskival and hopefully All in Brewing Fest.
I will be
Stockholm.
there.
I will probably be too. All right, bye, Robert.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.